Picture one person standing in the middle of a giant stadium. 80,000 people fill the seats around him. And then, all at once, they turn against him. They boo. The sound is enormous. It rolls down from every side like a wave with no edge. The man does not run. He cannot. He has to keep standing there, out in the open, while a crowd the size of a city tells him he is not wanted. We watch this and we think it is about the noise. Just noise. He should be able to shake it off. But inside his body, something much older and much stranger is happening. His heart is pounding. His mouth is dry. Some deep part of him believes he is about to die. And here is the strange truth this whole story circles around. The booing is not really about the 80,000 people at all. Start with what the body does. When the crowd turns, the man does not decide to feel afraid. It happens to him faster than thought. His heart beats harder. His breathing changes. Stress chemicals pour into his blood. His muscles get ready to run or to fight. This is the same alarm your body uses when a car swerves toward you, or when you hear a footstep behind you in the dark. The body has only one emergency system, and it cannot tell the difference between a real threat and a wall of angry voices. It only knows that something is very wrong, and that everyone is looking. So it sounds the alarm. Loud. The man is not being weak. His body is doing exactly what it was built to do. Now ask a simple question. Why would a sound hurt? Words cannot cut you. A boo cannot break a bone. And yet it feels like a wound. For a long time we believed that physical pain and emotional pain were two completely separate things. One was real in the body. The other was just in your head. But when scientists looked inside the brain, they found something surprising. Some of the same areas that switch on when you are physically hurt also switch on when you are rejected. Researchers are still arguing about how deep that overlap really goes. But the feeling is honest. In one study, people took a common pain pill, the kind you would use for a headache, every day for 3 weeks. By the end, they reported fewer hurt feelings than the people who had been given a sugar pill instead. A painkiller for the body quietly dulled the ache of being left out. Your brain seems to file rejection in the same drawer as injury. To be turned away does not just feel bad. On some level, it hurts. To understand why, you have to go back. Far back. For almost all of human history, a person could not survive alone. There were no shops, no police, no hospitals. There was only the group. The group shared food. The group kept watch at night. The group raised the children and protected the weak. If the group accepted you, you lived. If the group pushed you out, you died. Not always quickly, but a single human, alone in the wild, did not last long. So the brain learned a hard lesson, and it learned it over thousands of generations. The approval of the people around you was not a pleasant bonus. It was survival itself. And the anger of the crowd was the sound of danger. That ancient wiring is still sitting inside the man in the stadium. His mind knows it is only a game. His body never got the message. To his oldest instincts, 80,000 people turning against him is the tribe casting him out. And being cast out once meant the end. But here is something strange about that number. 80,000. Stop and ask yourself whether you could ever truly know 80,000 people. You could not. No one can. Most researchers believe the human mind can only hold around 150 people it really knows. The friends, the family, the faces with stories attached to them. Maybe a few thousand more it can recognize and put a name to. After that, the mind simply runs out of room. So the man in the stadium is not actually hearing 80,000 separate opinions. He cannot. His brain has no space for 80,000 people. What he is really hearing is something simpler, and in a way far bigger. Not a crowd of individuals. One single voice. One enormous wall of no. The 80,000 blur together into a single creature. And that creature is saying the one thing the human heart is most afraid to hear. You are not one of us. And it does not even matter who they are. You might think being booed would only hurt if you respected the people doing it. If strangers reject you, Who cares? But the mind does not work that way. Studies have found that people feel the sting of being left out even when the ones leaving them out are complete strangers. Even when they are people the person openly dislikes. Even, in some experiments, when they are told that the whole thing is run by a computer and that no real people are involved at all. The hurt still arrives. Because the brain is not carefully measuring who is rejecting you. It is reacting to the shape of the rejection itself. The pattern. The turning away. It is an alarm that does not stop to ask for names. There is one more piece, and it may be the cruelest. What makes the crowd so powerful is not only that they are many. It is that they are watching. When scientists want to reliably stress a person in a laboratory, the method they reach for is not pain, and it is not fear. It is to make that person stand up and perform in front of a small panel of people who are silently judging them. And here is the odd part. If you do the very same task alone in an empty room, the stress barely rises. Add a few watching faces and the body floods. The eyes are the trigger. Being seen and judged while you are trying to do something difficult. Now take those few faces and multiply them by 80,000. And then add the final twist. The man cannot stop. He cannot hide. He has to keep playing, keep performing, keep moving his body and making split-second decisions, while the largest audience he will ever face roars that he is failing. He has to do his most skilled work in the exact moment his body is begging him to flee. That is the trap of the stage. And notice where he is standing. Not inside the crowd. Against it. There is a strange loneliness in being the single point that everyone is facing. In ordinary life, you are one face among many, looking toward the stage. Here it is flipped around. Every line of sight in the entire building ends on him. Tens of thousands of eyes, all turned inward, all aimed at one small body. Our minds are already built to feel the weight of a single pair of eyes. You can feel it when just one person across a room is staring at you. Now imagine that same feeling stacked thousands of times over, with nowhere left to look that is not another face. He is completely surrounded, and yet completely alone. The center of the stadium is the loneliest place in it. People have always known the crowd holds this power. Long before stadiums, there were arenas where the cheers or the jeers of the many decided how a person would be remembered. There were town squares where being shamed in public was used as a punishment, because being mocked in front of everyone you knew was thought to be worse than a fine, and sometimes worse than a beating. Across different cultures, and across many centuries, humans have treated the voice of the gathered crowd as a kind of verdict. A judgment that feels larger than anything a single person could ever hand down. We built our oldest stories around it. The hero lifted onto the shoulders of the people. The outcast driven beyond the walls. Deep down, we have always sensed that the crowd can feel like a god. Can raise you up, or it can wipe you away. And you know this feeling. Maybe you have never stood in the center of a stadium, but you have felt a smaller version of the very same thing. The room that goes quiet when you walk into it. The joke that falls flat while everyone looks at you. The message you sent that was read and never answered. The meeting where you finally spoke, and no one would meet your eyes. You do not need 80,000 people to feel booed. The audience can be 5 people at a dinner table. Can be one person you love. Can even be no one at all. Because somewhere along the way, the crowd stopped living only outside of you. You took it in. You built your own audience inside your own head. This is the part we almost never say out loud. Each of us carries an audience we can never walk away from. A voice that watches what we do and reacts to it. When you replay an embarrassing moment from years ago and feel your face grow hot all over again, that is the inner crowd, still booing. When you almost try something new, and then stop because you can already picture people laughing, that is the inner crowd jeering before anyone has made a sound. The man in the stadium has 80,000 people in front of him. But most of us are quietly performing for a crowd that no one else can even see. And here is the hard and quiet truth. That inner audience is often harsher than any real one could ever be. The real crowd forgets you by morning. The crowd inside replays the moment for years. So the person who learns to stand inside the booing is not the one who feels no fear. It is the one who has made some kind of peace with the audience they carry everywhere they go. And yet there is a small and strange mercy hidden inside the body's alarm. The racing heart, the quick breath, the rush of heat under the skin. We call all of that fear, but it is almost exactly the same state the body enters when it is excited. When you are thrilled, when you can hardly wait for something to begin. The signals are nearly identical. The pounding chest of terror and the pounding chest of pure anticipation are, underneath, the very same wave of energy moving through you, which means the feeling does not arrive with a label already attached. The body is only saying, this matters, pay attention, get ready. It is the mind that decides whether to call it dread or to call it readiness. Some performers, standing inside that same wall of sound, have slowly learned to feel the roar pour into their chest and to name it not as a threat, but as fuel. The crowd cannot make that choice for them. Only the audience inside can. So look again at that man, alone in the middle of the stadium, the sound crashing down on him from every direction. We thought it was about the noise. We thought it was about 80,000 people. But now you can see what is really happening. His body is sounding an alarm older than language, an alarm that was built in a time when the crowd meant survival. His mind cannot truly hold 80,000 faces, so they have melted into a single voice speaking his oldest fear out loud. You are not one of us. And underneath all of it, quieter than the roar, sits the audience he carries inside himself. The one that will still be there long after the stadium has emptied and the lights have gone dark. The booing will end. The crowd will go home. They will forget him by the weekend. And the strange, freeing secret is this. The loudest voice in that whole stadium was never really the 80,000. It was the single voice inside his own head. And in the end, that is the only audience any of us ever truly has to face.